welcome back to Shovel Knight. Last time we beat King Knight and Spectre Knight, and this time we're going to be heading into another one of these encounter kinds of things. Although rather than an enemy, it's with a jewel, and it was on top of a level rather than kind of not on a level at all. I think maybe I'm thinking of Mario 3 where like a Hammer Brother encounter can't be on top of a level, has to be in like in between levels. I think in this game they actually can end up on levels, but that's just, you know, me talking about something else. This is the only auto-scrolling level of this nature, as I recall it. There are going to be auto-scrolling levels in this game, but not really the same kind of auto-scrolling as this. I'm being intentionally vague so that I don't spoil what's coming up a bit later. But let's just grab our treasure here and head to that jewel at the bottom. There is a special kind of stage. In these various platforming challenges, I guess is what I should call them, you need to have certain relics. For example, that guy talks about how you need the ability to phase out of existence so that you won't get hurt by spikes. So we need the phase locket in order to complete this level. And there's an abundance of magic around, so you don't need to worry about losing too much of that. But there are a ton of spikes, so you probably need to worry about losing your money if you were to die. There are no checkpoints in these kinds of levels, just plethoras of enemies and platforming challenges, and I really like them because of that. Excuse me. These levels are focused purely on platforming, and I like platforming, so these levels kind of fit me, I guess. Especially because a lot of them are very hazardous. I just like the feeling of being able to traverse something very dangerous with finesse, you know. If I were dying constantly, it would suck. But I'm not dying constantly, I'm playing well. And right here is pretty much the end of the level. I think at the end of all of these you also get... I'm kind of being dumb here and trying to grab it with the fishing hook because that costs less than the phase locket. But I ended up missing the money anyway. And it's the end of the stage, so I shouldn't have, you know, worried about spending too much magic. Anyway, at the end of these kinds of stages there's usually a music note. Well, not music note, music sheet. That's what I was trying to say. Let's hand our stuff over to the bard, and I think now we're going to get a couple more upgrades, so, you know, an increase to our health and magic. If you talk to the gastronomer while you have more than one meal ticket, he'll actually make you 2 meals at a time. So like, once he's done with his first meal, he'll start on the second immediately, and then place it on the table for you. Something that I didn't mention before, and that happened quite a lot actually, Shovel Knight gets locked into animation sometimes. Or rather, gets locked in place, and you know, that happens in a lot of games when there's dialogue happening. I think that feat Hey Big Spenders for spending over 25,000, if I recall correctly. Anyway, what I was saying, when Shovel Knight is kind of stuck in place, you can crouch by pressing down, and this doesn't really have a use. He just kind of bends his knees a little bit, doesn't really do anything, but I just like to do it for maybe comedic effect, or do it to the rhythm of a song. Like for example, this song right here. We can only hear this song after defeating Spectre Knight, but once you do and you talk to this dancer lady, she'll start dancing for you, and I like making Shovel Knight dance to the groove as well. After her dance, you get another music sheet to give to the bard, so that's 500 gold along with, you know, more of the soundtrack to listen to. Also, I have pretty high magic right now. The magic doesn't have... how should I put this? As long as you have the money, you can buy more magic, is what I'm trying to say. The thing with the meal tickets is that since you can only get them after well, not only, but you can get them either by talking to the Gotician, who will eventually run out of meal tickets, or you can get them after the end of certain levels, you know, after unlocking like a new quote-unquote world. A new section of the world map is what I should say. But I'm trying to say you can get all the magic upgrades at the beginning if you want. You can't get all the health upgrades at the beginning. And since I have 2 chalices, we can fill both of them at the same time at the Tribal King. Free of charge, which is probably the best part. Now let us head to the Exploratorium, which is Plague Knight stage. And I have I shouldn't say theory. I have an idea in my head about why the knights that got chosen to have campaigns got those campaigns. I think it's because they're all at the beginning of the game. Plague Knight, King Knight, and Spectre Knight are all very early on, and the levels aren't very difficult early on, which means that a lot more casual players are able to see the levels and probably get to the end of the levels and face off with the knights. With some of the later knights, their levels can get pretty hard. This game is actually pretty difficult. And so, since people weren't able to, I guess, converse with some of the later knights, they didn't really choose any of the later knights to get their own campaigns. That's just kind of my idea. I might be completely wrong. That is something that I didn't say. The campaigns were kind of like chosen via poll, I think. Again, I didn't really follow this game while it was being kickstarted, so I wouldn't know all about that. Like, I'm kind of sad that I didn't, because I really do like the game, and I'm glad that I bought it, and I kind of want more, you know? That's an odd way to put it. Anyway, we can fish right here. I do enjoy fishing in games. I don't know why. It's just so calming, I guess. Just kind of taking a break from everything. You know, Ganon may have taken over the world, but you know, I want to relax with some nice music. I want to fish. Anyway, the Exploratorium. I should talk about the level. These rats are probably my least favorite enemy in this game. When they approach you, they like to jump. And they also explode. The explosion takes away a very good chunk of your health. I'd say it takes away a whole, you know, dot rather than just half of a dot. And the mice actually touch damaging you only takes away half, so try not to get hurt by their explosions. They only explode after getting hit by you, so if they are too close to you, maybe just tank a hit, or use my favorite relic, the Phase Locket, to just invincibility frame your way into not getting hurt like I just did there. And probably am not going to be able to do here. Oh, I did it. I should give myself more credit. I mean, I'm beating the game without losing a life and without, like, not without, by destroying all the checkpoints, is what I was trying to say. You know, I'm not bad at this game. Anyway, we're introduced to new kinds of blocks with the later set of worlds. These dust blocks, as I like to call them, because, you know, they're not really dirt. You can break through them very easily with the shovel, so easily in fact that you can't even bounce off of them with a shovel drop. Instead, Shovel Knight just flies straight through them. Well, not flies, just kind of falls straight through them, I guess. And now we have a new mechanic added. These little platforms that shoot up after a little while, along with very annoying enemies. If you've ever played like a Kirby game, I guess that's where I think these enemies are, not where they come from, but what they relate most to. Because in Kirby, there are these enemies that if you try to use Kirby's trademark ability on them, they become all scary and decide to go after you. And that's kind of similar to how it works here, where if they get close enough to you, then they start to look scary and actually attack you. You need to bounce off of them right here in order to get to this top area, And make sure you don't fall through that dust block. I actually did that in a previous recording that kind of got messed up. And I ended up missing what was up here, which is a new kind of knight, I guess. This one also has a sort of drop-down attack, like I guess Black Knight does. And here we have a chest, again containing Chester. This relic is the alchemy coin, I think it's called. Yep. And if you drop it on the ground, it'll not really roll. It'll kind of just skate across the ground and turn anything that it touches into more money for you. Pretty useful for very weak enemies. For stronger ones, I don't think it's that useful. Something else that I didn't mention, relics have their own kind of, I was gonna say trophies. They have their own feats associated with them. So, for example, the fishing rod for fishing up 5 fish, we got a feat for that. With the phase locket, if you collect a bunch of treasure that's on spikes, then you'll get a feat for that. I say this because there are actually some that I'm not gonna get. The Chaos Orb one I've already gotten in a dream sequence. It was for killing 5 enemies within 5 seconds with the Chaos Orbs. And then there's the Amulet coin here, which I think is you need to bounce it back and forth 5 times. So it needs to hit an enemy that's able to take hits, like tank hits, I mean, you know, survive, and then bounce back at you. And you need to use your shovel to bounce it back at them, and you need to do that like 5 times in order to get the feat. And it's honestly really hard. I haven't even done it on like my main file, so I don't know how exactly I'm supposed to do it. But I will figure it out eventually. If you head to this top section here, after bouncing off of that bird, you can have access to this music note. Sheet. Jeez, I keep saying note. However, if you lure the, I guess, plague acolyte to the side, you can actually shovel drop off of him in order to gain access to it. There are also some other dirt blocks that are around that take 2 hits to destroy instead of just 1. I didn't really mention those. And now we have a mini-boss. This guy likes to throw a lot of potions above him, so if you're shovel dropping on him, you might get hit a bunch. However, after a little while, he will drink a potion and turn into this monstrosity. It gets faster every time you hit it, I think, so take a bit of caution. I like to use the phase locket so that it doesn't touch damage me, because it is a bit too high. I don't think you can actually jump onto it from the ground. You need to be standing on one of these ledges on the side in order to actually get on top of him. Or, what I like to do, use the phase locket so you could go inside of him and shovel drop while inside. That's kind of my method for a lot of enemies that can tank a bunch of hits. Phase inside of them and attack them from the inside. And here we have, I think, another Trowel. Yep. And I think this one also gives you the Ichor of Boldness. We're not going to be getting a taste of the 3rd Ichor until, I believe, the next level. So, yeah, that's that. Here, we have more of these fire pillar things. I didn't talk about them before, but if you walk over them, well, the yellow ones, if you walk over those, then, fire will come out of them after a little bit. For these, it's instead timing based, so after a little while it'll shoot up, then come back down, and then shoot up again. So it's less you have to be fast and more you have to be precise. And this knight was kind of kicking my butt, but I beat him. You need to be careful with your jumps here. And this fall right here, well, not this fall, this pit is one that I found myself dying in a bunch. Like, I almost died there. But, you need to be very precise, because these flames, well, those flames rather, along with these, actually come up with a different timing than the other ones do. They're a bit faster. They're like double time tempo. So, you need to be cautious of that. But I don't need the phase locket. I mean, I used it, but as you saw right there, I could time my jump so that I don't need to use it. And now we need to climb ladders with this stipulation of these enemies. What I like to do is I like to get on a ladder, and rather than climb down if I'm trying to descend, I press the jump button so that I fall down. Because when you're on a ladder, you can't jump up off of it. If you press the jump button, you just kind of let go of it. And now we have little Shovel Knight gel thingies, I guess. Slimes. They're kind of like Black Knights. They'll try to rush you and slash at you with the shovel. They'll try to jump on you and attack you with the shovel drop. And they're pretty easy. Especially because the, whatchamacallit, the phase locket makes them a piece of cake. Then again, the phase locket makes everything a piece of cake. The phase locket is just the best relic in this game. There's nothing above it. Except, you know, it costs a lot, so use it sparingly. Don't spam it unless you have some extra red ichor so you can refill it. Right here, they're gonna try to shovel drop on you by breaking through this dirt. You just kind of wait for them and then shovel attack them as they're falling to defeat them. Sometimes they might not even land on the platform. They'll just fall down into the pit below. And that spider is very douchily placed because you can't kill him. So you're forced to endure his reign of whatever the heck that stuff is. And now that we've finished off this plague acolyte, I guess that's what I'll call him. I don't know the names of the enemies in this game. We'll fish up this fish. That is what it is. And this is looking pretty last checkpoint-y. Plague Knight is just past here. There's food all the way on the left over here. So let's eat it up and head into Plague Knight's actual boss room. And you need to fall in, which is pretty interesting. All the other ones you just kind of walk in from the side. Not that interesting though. And here we have Plague Knight, who is, in my opinion, a very adorable design. I don't know why. Maybe it's because he's so short. I think he's adorable. I don't know. Kind of the same with Shovel Knight. Like, the shorter knights are very adorable. We'll get into a later shorter knight later. Anyway, what he likes to do is he likes to throw bombs. If the bombs hit the ground or the walls, then they'll split in two and kind of leave trails behind them. He can also summon vats, and the vats will, those big potion jars, I mean. And if he throws a bomb at them, then they'll explode, and if they explode near other vats, then it'll cause a chain reaction. But with the phase locket just making me cheat, essentially, it's not a very difficult boss. Nor was his stage, really. I think it was pretty, okay in terms of difficulty. Or maybe I'm just saying that to further my own fan hypothesis. Now that we've beaten one of these later nights, though, we have access to a couple new things. First off here is, well, I guess I'll just say it the way to say it. An OC, an original character. As this game was kickstarted, when people reached certain thresholds by giving the game enough money, they got to put their own characters into the game. This Reese here, or is it Raze? He's one of those original characters. And you need to fight those original characters as boss fights. Reese, or Raze here, he uses boomerangs that kind of zoom around the screen. Later on, he has a ability that kind of gives him a Mega Man-esque shield. It's like in some Mega Man games, you can generate a shield around you that kind of spins and damages enemies if they get near. And that's what he does. He also has a dive kick attack, which will shake the ground. I think if you're on the ground while that's, like, as he hits it, then you'll be stunned for a bit. Honestly, though, Raze here, probably my least favorite original character of all of them. I just think he's kind of, how should I put it? I guess it's that we don't know very much about him. He just kind of seems very bland to me. I don't know much about his aspirations or anything like that. All we really know is that he's a good guy that's kind of not really dumb. I guess headstrong would be the right word. After beating him, though, we get his song, which we'll take to the bard later. For now, I think I want to head to this armor outpost here. It's this weird alternate village thing. It even has characters that are similar to those in the village. But here, considering the name, Armor Outpost, we can upgrade our armor. As you can see, they all cost varying amounts of money. And they all have very different effects, which I'll probably get into a bit later. But the one that I really like is the Dynamo Mail. The thing about this one is that it makes me gray, and since I like to use the phase locket, it's a bit harder to tell when the phase locket has run out, because I don't turn blue. But I'll get more into what it does a bit later. We can also upgrade our shovel a bit. The shovel upgrade that I'm getting right now is the one that enables you to dig up a... I was gonna say pit, what's the word? A pile of dirt with one swing. Instead of taking 5, it just takes 1. Down here is another character that is similar to one in the village. This is the Toader, kind of like the Croaker. He's a very down character, not very happy. And unlike Croaker, who likes to tell puns, he wants to get told puns so that he can laugh, but it appears that Shovel Knight's puns aren't quite good. They're pretty bad. Anyway, in this area, this kind of clothing store, you need to have 3,000 gold so that you can pay off all of these people. And once you do, well, we'll get a feat along with a special extra thing happening. Yes, we got a nice hat. This guy here, Mr. Hat, is another one of those kickstarted extra original characters. And if that saving thing would go away so that people could see his dialogue, that'd be great. Thank you. Anyway, Mr. Hat is fascinated with hats. He likes to travel the world, getting new hats, and possibly even stealing hats from other people, because right now, he wants to take Shovel Knight's helmet. And because of that, he's a boss fight. In terms of a boss fight, I think Mr. Hat is pretty cool. Depending on what hat he wears, he has a different power. So, since he's wearing this, I guess... Well, I don't know what to describe the hat as, but since he's wearing it, he can shoot swords. Now that he's wearing this hat, he can shoot, like, weird jewel things, and he hops around rather than walking around. I guess I could get into the Dynamo Mail now. When you shovel drop twice off of something without touching the ground, you get a charge swing. That charge swing can break through things better than the regular shovel swing can. For example, those sturdier blocks, I think it could break those in one hit. And it also takes away a full dot of health off of enemies rather than just taking half a dot, which is pretty cool. Now, Mr. Hat will follow you around for a little bit. I kind of screw something up here. I try to get to Mr. Hat going up this way and then jumping across from here, and you can do that, but the correct way is to just shovel drop off of his little sign for his shop here, and he'll give you 1,000 gold for it, along with the, I think 5,000 that you get for actually beating him. So, there's some extra money for you. And if we head up here, to the left, he will appear again. And this time, he even gives you more money. I don't think, though, that there's a third place to find him. I just can't quite remember. And I looked around a little bit before, but I just couldn't find him. I didn't know where he was. Anyway, we got some shiny new armor. We got a new ability for our shovel. Well, technically 2. And now we have another boss fight. Another one of the OC characters. This one probably I don't know if I like him better than Mr. Hat, but I do know I like him better than Reese. This is Baz. Baz wants to be a villain. Well, not really a villain. He wants to be part of the Order of No Quarter. He decided to get some epic armor, a cool rope that he uses like a whip, and he thinks that if he's able to defeat Shovel Knight, then the Order of No Quarter will actually accept him. So we have to fight Baz. And again, with the Dynamo Mail, I just think he's made very easy because he does swing his rope above his head, and when he does that you can't hurt him. But it still counts as you shovel dropping on something, so if you hit him twice, you can still perform a charge slash on him. He likes to use his rope to swing up at the tops of whatever this area would be, and kind of reminiscent of Castlevania, I guess. After taking about half his health away, he will get electric powers, where lightning will randomly strike him and then go off in the 4 diagonal directions. But that's about it. That's Baz. Not a very difficult boss fight, although I did get hit quite a bit. And turns out Baz is just a big baby. If you hit him, his tears will become those blue jewels, which are all worth 5, so you get some extra money off of him. And yeah, that's about it for Baz. Just kind of done. With all that done, we're going to head back to the village so that I can actually turn in my stuff along with buy some other new things. Well, kind of buy some new things. The new things that I'm talking about being actually like upgrades. And I like this bit of dialogue from the bard. He says that Plague Knight threw a potion at him, and that ended up giving him like the inspiration for Plague Knight's song. But the thing is, Plague Knight, well, not Plague Knight, he fell asleep because of the potion. So it makes me think that Plague Knight was the one who actually wrote the song, rather than the bard actually doing it. At least in universe. Obviously, Jake Kaufman probably wrote the song. And look at how sad this hoop girl is. If you charge slash her hoop, then it will fly away and she will be very, very sad. On the opposite end, though, if you destroy the pile with one swing, then the Hedgehammer is truly ecstatic. He calls us the Blue Burrower, I guess in the vein of Blue Bomber and Blue Blur, Mega Man and Sonic respectively. But we're not in blue right now, we're in silver. Well, there's some kind of blue on the horns, I guess. Anyway, next time we'll be heading into the next set of levels. There's the Lost City of Mole Knight and the Iron Whale for Treasure Knight.